subsequently left the property that we live in going for during which time, Linda Knight and Jimmy Collins brought me a final bill. The bill was, brought me a bill, not a final bill. It brought me a bill and said, here's the bill. It goes to a post office box and then never come to the address. So here's the bill. By the way, the water's ours. The pipes are ours. And I'm like, okay. So I contacted Mr. Whaley again. The bill on that says for service at 1300 River Road, not 1320. Linda Knight never did receive water in her name. Never did come in, as far as I know, fill out a contract, pay your deposit, do anything with the new tap procedures, nothing. The final bill stated for service at 1300 River Road. So I then contacted Mr. Whaley and I asked him, at what point in time from 2009 until now would the water company have a reflection showing that it is for service at 1320, which is Linda's address, and not 1300, which is my address? He said Daniel would have had to come in and execute that. Daniel never did, because Daniel had it hooked up illegally. Okay? So I said, well, then the water legally belongs here. He said, well, yes and no, yes. And the problem is that house has been built and don't have no water. Okay? I agree with that. But the legal part of it is there. At that point in time, I'm a tenant. Daniel Knight, as my landlord, must provide me with the availability to water. Now, 2 days before the sale of the property, Daniel Knight, Linda, whatever, I've got a copy of it. It's an easement that was granted for the construction and the maintenance of a line going through my property. I call it my property now because my mother had purchased it at auction. They got an easement to go through the property to be able to construct and maintain a water line. Does not state in there anywhere, go get the water line that exists at 1300 and make it yours. 3 times I've had to stop crews from trenching across my property to take my water line. The police have been involved twice.
We've offered to pay for a tap.
We offered a compromise and say, look, we'll buy Linda a tap down at the end of the line, go get it. I don't begrudge Linda not having water. But there's a signature by Mr. Whaley on a plat from December 2009 saying that she is being serviced with water from the Marshall County Board. But there never was a line ran. She never filled out anything. She never even received a bill for 6 years. My thing is, I know as a landlord, if a tenant refuses to pay their water or pay their rent, you can't legally shut a tenant off to constructively evict them. So if that's the case, and he did not sign over the water in 2009, in 2015, as a landlord, how can he give away the water that belongs to the piece of property that he has tenants in?
We're going on 29 days without water.
At no notice. At no notice. If you look under your procedures for being shut off with notice or without notice, we did none of them.
We didn't fall under any of the break any rules or anything like that. We were the ones paying the water bill the last 3 years we've lived there.
Okay.
You know.
I know we've had some legal actions. I'm going to let our attorney address this.
The water was turned off. The Warwick's got a temporary injunction requiring us to turn it back on. We went to court, and there was an agreed order between all parties, which included Mr. Warwick and the court.
Yes.
Plaintiff. And what it says was, if they purchase the property, which his mother had, he was to submit an application for service for a water tap and pay his deposit by 4 o'clock on September 21st, and we would agree to turn the water on and work with them to secure water service as expeditiously as possible. I spoke with the office manager. They have not been in. They have not filed an application.
Excuse me.
No, sir.
Okay. Like that.
No, she doesn't.
Stand down.
They have not filed an application, they have not filed a deposit, and they haven't purchased a tap or done anything toward doing this. This was signed by their, in fact, it was drafted by their attorney. And so, then they came back and said, well, we don't have to do that because we own the water line. At that point, I told Mr. Thibodeau, and I told Mr. Collins and Ms. Knight that they needed to file a declaratory action in the Chancery Court of Marshall County for the court to declare the rights of the parties to the water line because it was a private line and this board had no control over it.
Now, back to what he was saying before you got all hostile, was we did call up here about getting the line. We were told by your representation that, no, we would have to pay for the entire thing to actually have it trenched. That's why we didn't just come up here and fill out an application. Not to mention, Miss Joanne Warlick is in the same place your mother's at right now, having rehab on her hip. So she hasn't been able to physically come up here. You can roll your eyes all you want to. No, yes, ma'am. What I'm saying is, no, ma'am, when we called up here, no, ma'am, your office was very clear with us about the fact that they didn't want us up here, period. In fact, your secretary was very rude, hung up on us several times. And when we've called up there, we've asked, what can we do? I've got recorded conversations asking, what can we do?
You have an attorney, and that's who I talked to. I talked to your attorney. I told him how we would turn the water back on when you filled out an application and made a deposit. And we would work with you to get both of them done. And nothing's been done since that time.
Okay, so ma'am, we can fill out an application and pay the deposit today. Because this is the first that I've heard about this. Because the only thing I've been told is that I must buy a tap and trench and lay 3,600 feet of line, because it's all the way out on Verona Caney Road where the main line is, go through 5 pieces of property to be able to get to it. And that's what I've been told by everybody, by Jimmy Collins, by Linda, by my attorney, by you guys, by everything. And I'm like, why should I have to pay 3,600 or lay 3,600 feet of pipe when the pipe and the water and everything belongs there in the first place?
I also discussed with Mr. Thibodeau the fact that you need to...
Mr. Thibodeau is no longer my attorney because he was...
But at the time he was. I said to him, the water line that is there now has a leak in it. Why don't y'all get together, dig the ditch, lay 2 new lines in there, and both of you have your own water line? And I was told, no, that didn't need it to be that way.
Well, let me ask you this: where's the water? Where's the leak, and when did that come into play? Because the only leak that I know of is under his house.
I was told there was a leak on that water line.
There's a leak under the house. There's busted pipes under the house. From back in February when I started paying I paid $600 in overages because the pipes broke underneath their house.
So that's where we are. I just told the parties that they needed to file a declaratory action to determine the rights of the parties to the water line. That we were not the judge on that one because they were talking about the ownership of the pipe. It's a private pipe. Does not belong to this board.
Right, but it's attached to 1300 River Road, and in my deed it says with all attachments, apparatuses, and improvements thereon and hereafter.
Hold on just a minute. I've got some questions, and I'll let this man back here. Legally, we do not have any say-so whose line that is.
That's correct.
So we can't make a decision whose line or whatever that is.
Can I ask this? What tap does that belong to that's on the end of that line? I know
that is part of the line, and so that would be part of the question for the court.
So at this point in time, it's attached to our home, and it has been the entire time.
Well, that's
so
where
today I would like to pay
billed.
whatever fees that need to be paid today, and fill out my application and get water turned back on to my home today. That's what I would like to do.
Well, it's a cross connection.
It's not a cross connection. It's not a cross connection because Linda Knight and Jimmy Collins have already tore out what's over there at theirs and started trying to trench across my property. That pipe is not connected.
I don't go out there and look at. I've been told it was a cross connection. That's why it was turned off originally.
Well, it's teed off underneath my trailer and running across there. at the house there now, Jimmy Collins has taken and had a crew come out there and pull the line out from there and trench across the property.
We just need to specify that the cross connection has been removed.
Okay, thank you.
That we can and that can be verified if needed. There is no cross connection anymore.
Permanently capped off if it need be.
Well, it has been.
Yes,
Gone.
yes, it's gone
It's
completely.
But it's not up to this board or anybody in here to decide whose line that is.
There should be no decision on whose line that is.
The deed actually transferred clean when they bought the property and specified that the line that existed and hooked up to the trailer at that time did go with the house.
All improvements,
So that's all
all
there.
connections, all apparatuses,
The
all
county deed and
fixtures.
everything. If they can fill out their application and pay their thing and just get the padlock taken off until the court makes a decision, that's all they're asking for is the use of the water.
There was also an announcement at the foreclosure sale that First State Bank, Apex Bank, that water may or may not be available at that property.
Exactly.
May or may not be,
May or
because
may-
as renters, we had no standing on transferring, having the water put in our names or anything else. We had no standing
Well,
as renters.
Let's look at this aspect of it also. Even if I had been evicted through the foreclosure process, I received, by law, state and federal, 90 days. And I would assume that includes with water. The water was shut off the day after the sale. I went 9 days, paid $2,500 to an attorney to get it turned on for 20 days.
The reason it was turned off is because your attorney had this order, which I've just gotten to hand you, that said that you had until 4 o'clock on September 21st, and if you didn't do it, then it would be turned back off. And that is why it was turned
You-
off.
Originally, it
I didn't have an
was-
attorney on that day.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
did not have an attorney when we bought the
He's
property.
got it in writing right there.
But we did not have an attorney when we bought
But
the
the point
property.
is, though,
We
when-
didn't get the attorney until after the...
After it was cut off.
The first-
time y'all switch y'all.
I'm talking about the second.
Okay, well, we're talking about the first time. The first time the water was cut off, Daniel Knight called up here and said he wanted his service terminated. That's fine. He's the one that's got the name and the link. We turned around and called you the exact same day and said, hey, Daniel may not want the water in his name because he no longer owns the property. We're still renters. We still live here. We'll pay the deposits then and have it put on our name. And we were told, no, we couldn't. So that's when we had to get an attorney, and that's when we had to pay the $2,500 to him to get cut on for 20 days. Now, if our attorney failed to give us information, we'll handle him. Point is, we've gone 29 days without water for no reason. We'll take that up with our attorney, but we were not given this information. We've been waiting to give you people money.
We've been waiting for the day just to have a chance to be able to speak to everybody here, because legally, Daniel Knight can't give away water anyways to a place that he's got tenants living into. He can't give away water. So I can't help what didn't happen in 2009. I can't help that. That's not the issue. In 2015, he's a landlord. He's obligated by federal and state law to provide us with water. If he can't even shut our water off, how can he give it away? That water still legally belongs to 1300 River Road, and I would like to be able to pay my fees today, get the water turned back on so I can take a shower.
And I mean, simply put, though, if you guys were to take the padlock off today, and you run to one house and you run to the other and turn the spigot on, the only house that would get water would be our house, because that's the only one that had water lines running to it. Again, there's just was a piece of pipe running to Linda's house.
And that's been removed.
Has the board heard enough? Okay. Legally, can we turn the water back on if they pay it?
I don't see how legally you can. I'm just saying.
Hold on, I'm asking her a question.
The question becomes whether or not Ms. Knight would contest that. If she doesn't contest it, then you can turn it back on if they do what they were supposed to do. I don't know what Ms. Knight's position is. I don't know if she's here. I just know that we couldn't have the cross connection.
That's not
There's-
an issue.
Sir?
I'm sorry.
There's also the matter of there's some unpaid water bills that are outstanding, and I turned copies of those over to Mr. Thibodeau on October the 5th, and to my knowledge, those have not been paid either.
All those could be paid as of today. Like I said, we never received a bill because it was going in Daniel's name to a post office box.
Okay. hold on, we're addressing some things here.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I don't know what Ms. Collins' position's gonna be, and if her position is that he owns the water line, then that becomes a matter for a court to decide who has the ownership to the actual pipe and to that tap.
Actually, she owns, the water tap is hers.
That was my next question, who actually is
The
the water
tap was given to her by Daniel. It was transferred, and what happened 2 days before the sale was a wrong was righted. Yes, it created another wrong, but a wrong was righted in the eyes of the board. What was supposed to happen back in 2009. Mr. Knight's son transferred the tap over to Miss Knight's mother, is what was supposed to happen in 2009, and that's what had happened back last, when the sale happened.
Okay. Has any board members got any questions or anything that
And this is, I guess, a legal question. Okay, so you have a tap there, and the bills haven't been paid. Is there a point in time, even if you don't pay your bill forever, you still own that tap, or do you lose ownership if you effectively abandon it by virtue of not having paid your bill?
Typically, the water is just turned off until those water bills are paid, but the ownership of the tap, I think it follows the land, because it's put in, it becomes a fixture for the land.
Yeah. My opinion, and this is just me throwing this out here, would be that they go ahead and purchase their tap, set it out there close to where that meter's supposed to be at, them take and transfer that line over to that meter and use it until y'all find out whose line it belongs to. That would be my opinion.
I don't understand.
The service
In a
line.
second tap.
Put in a second tap right
Yeah.
beside that one, move the
That
line
tap
over
up
to
to
that
the
tap.
existing line.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
That way, there's no question about ownership of the tap.
The tap that the line
I
is
got
tied
you.
to now belongs to Miss Knight. The tap that y'all would transfer the line over to would belong to you.
Can you show me paperwork where that tap was transferred over to her?
Like we've got all that where it was done.
Because all I've got is an easement for the construction of and maintenance of a water line. That's all I've got. Now, and again, like you said, Mr. Whaley, you are right in the wrong. I believe that Mrs. Knight should have water.
Yeah.
I believe she should have water. However, it shouldn't be at our expense.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it righted a wrong, and it
Well, it right or wrong, but it took away my rights and broke federal and state laws that are put in place to protect me. And 2 days before the sale, Daniel Knight is my landlord. He can't give away the water to the property that he's...
This was done in 2015, not 2009, though. I thought it came in 2009.
That's when the plat was signed off on, was 2009.
Right, and there was never any inspection on it and everything otherwise. And you had said to yourself that if you'd known that this was done back in 2009 like this, you would have corrected this a long time ago.
Right.
However, you did know in February when you took my money and continued to give me service, and you knew exactly how it was hooked up. And like I said...
I didn't speak to you in February.
Yes, you did.
Yes, sir.
You spoke to me when the water line broke. Yes, you did, sir. Yes, you did.
We talked to him in here. We did. I don't know if he spoke with you.
I believe I spoke with your customer service, and I believe I spoke with you, and I believe I spoke with you on the phone afterwards.
Yeah.
Because I was like, the only place, they said, you gotta talk to Mr. Whaley, so we talked to Mr. Whaley.
What we're trying to do right now is we're trying to resolve something other that has been wrong on both sides, okay?
Right.
So let us try to move on, and we'll try to see what we do. Ray's got a question.
I just have a question. I'd like to see people have water. Is there any downside to us giving them a 90-day, you wouldn't turn the water on, giving a 90-day period? This is gonna take some time to sort out about taps and so forth. In the meantime, they could have some water on a temporary way.
And I'll pay whatever overages that there is right now, whatever usage today.
90-day time on it.
I'll pay whatever usage.
That was the proposal at the courthouse that day, and that's why we said if they would do these things, then we would work with them to get their water. And those things did not get done, so that's
It
why
sounds
the
like
water...
he's willing to do that today.
That's fine, but that's the reason, I'm just trying to explain to the board why it was turned off when it was turned off the last time.
I'd like to see these people's water on. And
Well, thank you, sir.
Shift it out, you know, put myself in the same position, as we can, the line's there, it's not gonna cost us a lot extra to have that water flowing, if they pay their bills up and have everything, keep things off the books.
I think from our position, I think what you said is right, put another tap in, and they can hook that existing line up to the new tap, and then if they wanna fight with this woman, Miss Collins, whatever her name is, over who owns that, that's between them, we have no issue with that at all, that's not our business.
That's correct.
And then we're good to go, because we've got a tap, it's their tap, they pay for it, what they hook up to that tap, it's not our concern.
That's correct.
Sure. And in lieu of doing that, I agree. And like I say, we offered to purchase a tap for Linda Knight. That way the existing line and tap don't have to be messed with. That's just additional work that don't have to be done in that case. We offered to purchase them a tap and was told no. I don't know why.
Not by who?
By them.
By Miss Collins?
Yeah, because they want...
But see, she can do that.
Right, I understand, but like I say, I want you to know that we've been trying to offer compromises and everything, and the stuff that Miss Spivey is coming off and telling us today, the stuff that our attorney never told us. We never told us anything about if you just pay your fees, you can get this done today. We were told you had to buy a tap and dig a trench and put in 3,600 feet of line.
And that was by the office here, yeah.
What if we took the lock off the existing tap until you could get a new tap put in?
Sounds wonderful.
How long would that take to put the new tap in?
I think we'll have to have a state permit to get under the road, a couple of weeks to, at least a couple of weeks to get the permit in. And then,
Yeah, but we don't need to tie to that existing line, do
we won't be touching that line. That would be their, that's their order.
I'm just thinking, if that was gonna take a long time, I'd say, if we don't break the law by taking the lock off so they can get water right away, until such time as you get the new tap put in, and then they can hook up to it.
We should be able to have it done within 30 days. So everything done, so
if they paid the bill on the existing meter, if we took the lock off, 30 days, I don't know, 60 days. But the point is, until the new tap gets in, they have access to it.
Because there's nobody living at 1320 now anyways. There haven't been nobody living there since January.
Does that work for you guys?
Not working any longer,
No, the only thing I've got with that is it's Miss Knight's meter, and, it needs to be notified or blessed or whatever for.
I think her big concern ought to be that she doesn't become financially responsible for the bill. Whether by agreement or by whatever, we need to make sure that.
So you sold Linda a tap for $150?
That's a good price for a tap. We can get that price.
This is your application for water contract service, right? And it still doesn't show that that tap is actually transferred over to her. And as Ms. Spivey said, that tap it's attached, it runs with the lay of the land. It runs with the land, and that land is on my deed. So I still don't see actually where that tap actually belongs to Linda.
I mean, the service bill came to $1,300.
I understand you now, that's not our.
But no, the tap is you guys, correctly?
Yes.
Okay, and the tap runs with the line. This is just a contract where she applied for and paid a deposit in 15, and the other is a signature on a plat from 2009 that says that it's there. Still don't see where that actual meter has been transferred to her property and runs with her land as it does run with my land. I don't see where that's happened, and that's the legal point that I'm asking right now. And I appreciate the service bill. I'll still purchase them a tap if they want it, if they want to do that. But I'm saying I don't see where this tap's been transferred over to them. And I don't think that if you look at these, it doesn't show that. The paperwork that they signed on the 17th of this year, in August, I believe it was, is an easement. And then this is just a contract for your service. It doesn't change that tap over to her, give it to her. I mean, just because Daniel said he was going to do that in 2009, he didn't do that in 2009.
Right now, it's not our this board is not gonna make a decision on that. We're trying to make a decision to
Okay.
give you water,
And
get you water.
Okay, and can we work on a decision on that? Because, I mean, over time, because like I
Does it have
said.
to go to court?
Does it have
That'll
to-
have to go to court. I mean, that's not a.
Okay,
The tap and the water lines have to go to court,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Okay, all right.
But for right now, we can't get water, I mean, like I said, 29 days.
That's what
Oh,
we
we'll
got.
work it out.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion that we do whatever we're gonna do?
I move if they pay all, applicable fees and, bills that are delinquent, that they have, access to water cut off immediately as quick as possible for 60 days, in what time, within that time that they can get their own tap.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
No second? Any more discussion? Any board? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
I'll make application for a state permit today.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Can I ask one question? At the end of this 60 days, if this tap is still in question,
We'll extend it.
Okay.
thank you,
No,
Brett.
but
Pending a judge's order or whatever.
Discussion and a
we'll
vote.
have to have a discussion on that, cause.
Well, that's fine.
You're
That's fine.
still gonna have to buy you a tap.
They're still gonna go to court and turn
Our
the-
tap's gonna have to be bought.
There's enough
By us or by the Knights, because,
offer her to buy her tap between you two. That's what he's done. He's done made that offer to buy her tap.
That's what, I've always,
And it got rejected.
But
Make it different.
the simple easy fix to it is purchase you a tap, take the line from her tap, tie it over into yours, and use her line until y'all settle out whose line is whose. I mean,
but see, you keep calling things hers. I-
well, no, it's okay, so, but when it comes to the water lines, they don't have any, they just said they ain't got nothing to do with it.
That's court.
That's court.
Thank you very much.
Mm.